If you've been in Hellenic polytheist spaces online, you've probably heard this before. Just ask the gods themselves. Or, I asked and they said it was fine. Or even, I haven't been punished. It's my relationship with my God, and that's what matters. This is very common advice when someone is unsure in their practice, and usually when this advice is given, there is already an answer available in the tradition. When this is the answer, the question usually isn't what does the tradition say, but can I be the exception to it? I want to make sure I'm very specific about what I'm actually addressing here. This isn't a claim that the gods do not communicate with humans. It's about something much more specific, which is the idea that every single practitioner has a direct, clear, always available line to the divine that produces unambiguous yes and no answers on demand that are always clearly and easily interpreted, and that those answers can legitimately override established tradition. Imagine you're walking into a space where bowing to an elder is the standard of respect. You walk in, refuse to bow, and if the elder did not immediately correct you or strike you down, you take that as a confirmation of approval. But the elder isn't there to enforce your manners. It was never on them to correct you. The burden of respect was always on you. It was always on you to show up correctly, in the manner that was established long before you and will continue on long after you. Why would a sovereign power waste their time telling you that you are not the single exception to a 3,000-year-old tradition? Ancient Greece had an extremely sophisticated divine communication system. Trained seers, professional priests, and the oracle at Delphi, the Pythia, the most direct line to Apollon that existed. Croesus, the king of Lydia, asked the Pythia a direct question and received a direct answer, and it destroyed him. He asked, "Should I attack Persia?" The oracle told him, "If you cross the Halys River, a great empire will fall." The king took this as a guaranteed victory. He crossed the river, but the great empire that fell was his own. This is a clear demonstration that the gap between human understanding and divine truth is so vast that even a clear answer that was received directly and interpreted in good faith can still be beyond our grasp. If the king of Lydia couldn't interpret a seemingly clear answer from Apollon's own priestess, the expectation that everybody can receive clear personal answers from the gods in our living rooms deserves some honest examination. This is not an argument that the gods are silent. I'm trying to demonstrate that even the most sophisticated divine communication system in history still produced answers that were difficult, ambiguous, and required expert interpretation. The casual, on-demand permission model misunderstands what divine communication actually is and how it was understood. The way I see it, the tradition is not the absence of divine communication. It is the divine communication. The gods already answered. Orthopraxy exists because over centuries and across generations, through careful communal discernment, these frameworks were built. The gods gave us the tradition so we wouldn't have to guess individually. Going outside of that to ask for personal exceptions assumes the tradition wasn't the answer, which is a significant assumption. It is essentially saying that the language the gods and our ancestors spent generations building isn't good enough for us. Now, I want to be fair about why this happens because I think there's very specific reasons why. The polis is gone, and the civic religious structures that maintain these frameworks, such as the shared calendar, communal sacrifices, and the religious body that could and would actually challenge the claim of a private divine revelation, none of that exists anymore. Modern practitioners are solitary in a way that the ancients truly never were. And in that vacuum left behind, something tries to fill the authority role. The perceived voice of the god becomes that authority when no institutional structure remains. But just because there's no one there to stop you from going outside the tradition doesn't mean you're still practicing within it. The text did not disappear with the polis. These frameworks are still available to us. The materials are at our disposal. I don't think it's right that the absence of external enforcement means that these traditions stop having their own authority. And layered on top of that structural collapse is a cultural inheritance I think many of us don't even notice. The idea that a direct, personal, emotionally supportive relationship with the divine is the gold standard for an authentic religious life. That the individual's internal experience is the ultimate religious authority. That is not a universal instinct. That is a very specific inheritance of Protestant thinking that is incredibly culturally pervasive. It shapes how we approach a lot of spiritual questions, including this one. I'm not saying that UPG has no place. Personal experience is clearly very real and meaningful. If something has moved you during your practice, that's not nothing, and I'm not dismissing that. The distinction I'm trying to make is between UPG as what could be called a personal flavor alongside tradition, and UPG as a permission slip to override tradition. Those are very different things. We don't negotiate with the sunrise. We observe how it works and we align ourselves with it. We don't ask it to bend for us, and why would we? The ancient oracles remind us that the universe does not owe us straightforward answers, that the distance between the divine and humans is vast, and our understanding of them is inherently limited. So if the answers we receive always confirm what we already wanted, always arrive conveniently, never challenge us or disagree with us, and never cost us anything, and if modern spirituality now demands a universe that is instantly clear, endlessly supportive, and always aligned with our personal goals, maybe we haven't actually brought the gods closer to us. Maybe we've just replaced them with ourselves. And a reflection can't help us grow or change, it can only show us what we already are.